Well, thank you for being here today. We're going to be talking today about big picture thinking and how you think on the big picture. I'm sharing the screen and I'm waiting for other people to come in as well. There you are.
Hi, sorry, I have my coffee. I'm warming it up.
Oh,
let me mute myself.
Warm up your coffee. There's some other people may be coming in. I'm not sure, but we're recording now, and so we're going for it. So we're going to talk about, like I say, big picture thinking and what it is and how you get to where you're going to be in 5 years, whatever that may be, whatever that happens to be. It could be many, many different things. And everybody has a different plan of action.
I like it because I don't know where I'm going right now.
What?
I said I like it because I don't know where I'm going right now.
What is big picture thinking? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about 5 great steps to focus on big picture thinking. And we're going to identify habits that limit your big picture thinking ability. A lot of people have habits that they don't even realize are stopping the big picture thinking. We're going to learn how to delegate. And I'm going to explain to you what delegate means and how delegation of different projects and so on can help you go to where you want to go. We're going to talk about seeing things from different lens, dive into what the big picture questions are. We're going to talk about use bulleted lists to think big and then chunk it down. So making a list is a really good thing to do, and then chunk it down into smaller projects, and it makes it much, much easier than overwhelming you. We're going to start journaling and mind mapping, and I'm going to talk about how to journal and how to mind map. Scheduling some thinking time. A lot of people don't take the time to think, just think. And so we're going to talk about how you can go about doing that. We're going to do an activity about what will you be doing in 5 years? Who knows? And intensely study the greats, their failures and successes, and learn how they overcame obstacles leading to their success. So here we go. What is big picture thinking? Imagine driving on the Golden Gate Bridge. This is a really good one. Imagine driving on a Golden Gate Bridge. Do you look to the left and to the right only? Hopefully not. As you're going over, you don't want to be looking at the city and at the ocean. You've trained yourself to cover both your left and right sides, as well as look far ahead in front of you. So you're looking both left and right and far ahead. If you only focused on a tiny word on the bumper sticker of the vehicle directly in front of you, you'd risk getting into a pretty bad accident. So you don't want to just focus in on one little thing just directly in front of you. That's essentially what big picture thinking is. Looking at the entirety of a plan or a situation. Big, big deal. Seeing the big picture means seeing the whole of everything. Meaning, what about your life? Where is your life now? Where is it going to go? What are you thinking about doing? What could be a good thing for you to do now to achieve your goals in 1 year, in 6 months, in 1 month? Breaking it down so you can see everything as a whole. 5 steps to focus on the big picture. Identify habits that limit your big picture thinking. Now, a lot of people think only about tomorrow or just the next day or what's going to happen next week. But with big picture thinking, what you have to do is say, what am I doing today? Or what am I going to do tomorrow that is I'm going to thank my future self for? What am I going to thank myself for? What is it that I can do today that I know I'm going to look back in 3 or 4 years and say, boy, I'm really glad that I did that certain thing, whatever it may be. You want to see things from a different lens. Dive into what are big picture questions. So, for instance, if you have a big question or in your big picture thinking, you're thinking that, what do you have any idea? Let's interact with each other. Are you willing to do that?
Yes.
Okay. What is it that you think that you might like to be doing in 5 years? Do you have any ideas?
Have my own business.
Have your own business. Okay. So, have you read any books on entrepreneurship? That's one thing that you could be doing now, reading about entrepreneurship and what it's all about. And there are some great entrepreneurs that we're going to talk about today. That's one of the things that you could be doing now to find out what other people did and how they went about doing it. Do you have any idea what kind of a business you'd like to be doing?
Well, I want to be a professional consultant.
A professional consultant in what?
In productivity, leadership, time management.
Oh, that's fabulous. So then you could be taking courses on that. Productivity is a whole thing that they have courses just outlined for that in particular. It's wonderful that's what your thoughts are. Make bullet point lists of things that you would like to do. And like what you just told me, break it down first on the big picture. And then it's great to have a 5-year plan. A lot of times I know when I retired from the event industry, which I was in for 44 years, I took a 5-year plan. And I made a 5-year plan out. I put it on paper because at the time I owned 6 businesses and I had to decide, what am I going to do with those businesses? Am I going to sell them? Am I going to keep them? I obviously wasn't going to keep them if I was going to retire. So I had to figure out exactly, I put all of the big things on a list. And then I broke down the list almost like you do when you're going to write a chapter on a particular subject, how you do a list, and then you break it down by A, B, C, D, the things that are going to take to do it. And start journaling. And journaling is very, very good because if you write in a journal what your days are, and this journal can be just strictly for you, nobody else is going to see it, it's only for you, but write down what it is that you're doing every day to move towards your goal. You should be doing something every day to move towards your goal. And that's what mind mapping is. is you're mapping out a whole direction on how you're going to get to where you want to go. And if you are journaling, it really will help you because you can go back and look at where you were. Like if you start journaling today and you buy a journal, start journaling today or tomorrow, and go back and look at what you have achieved, it is so gratifying. Good for you. You got a list going. Good for you. That's amazing because you can go back and read it and see what you've done. And it really helps you, spurs you on to do even more and more and more and more. It's really helpful. But during your day, you've got to schedule some time just for thinking about what it is that you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and about your life in general. I know that I have a habit that I have made a habit. I've turned it into a habit that whenever I always schedule 1 hour in the morning for myself. I wake up 1 hour before the rest of my family, and I have my coffee and I just sit by myself in my sitting room and I have my coffee and I think about what is coming up, not just what's coming up that day, but what's coming up further on down the line and how important that is and what I could be doing today that could help it. Like I said earlier before, do something every day that you can help, that you can thank yourself for in another year or 5 years or whatever the case may be. Identify habits that limit your big picture thinking ability. Stop seeking perfection. Everybody seeks perfection, and it's great. It's a great thing to do, but sometimes you've got to stop. And if you're constantly fiddling with things to make them better, delving into more and more detail in the process, you need to press pause, stand back, and look for the wider opportunity. I have a sign in my office. I'm going to get it for you so you can see it. Look at this sign. Can you read it?
Yeah. You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading. Pull it up. The last one.
So
true.
You can't start the next chapter of your life if you keep rereading the last one. So let it go. Let it go. Once you get something going, I don't mean that you want to forget it, but you want to let it go and know that you don't have to keep fiddling with it to, make it. Don't sweat the small stuff. If you spend sleepless nights worrying about insignificant problems, like where the new plant pot will go or sit in your office, you'll need to take a deep breath and let it go. Little things that don't mean much. Gotta let it go. Don't sweat the small stuff. Learn to delegate. If your job is full on and there is limited time and reserves, you may feel that it's faster and better to do things yourself rather than working as a team, but research shows that's not the case. You can accomplish twice as much, 2 or 3 times as much if you're delegating. And when I say delegating, I mean if you are asking people to help you do different things in whatever your job is now, or however you run your life, if you have people help you do other things, you're accomplishing a lot more, because all those things are getting accomplished and you're not the one that's having to do it all. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Learn to delegate, explain. Share the big picture with your team. There's a very good story that I love about the man that owns a company. And his company has had a banner month. They just really did well for the month. And so he decided that he was going to take everyone to dinner. And so he told everybody, I want to take you to dinner. So we'll go to dinner tonight and we'll meet at 6 o'clock. And everybody said, great, that's wonderful. And the boss left, okay? Well, 6 o'clock comes and the boss is sitting in the restaurant and he's wondering, where is everybody? I asked everybody to meet me at 6 o'clock and nobody showed up. What's going on? Well, the fact of the matter is he never told them where he was going. He never told them the restaurant he was going to. He just expected them to know what restaurant they were going to. And all of his employees are out going to the different restaurants around town that they know are his favorite restaurant, and they can't find him. And now he's getting angry because there's nobody there, and he's feeling like these people don't even care, okay? And that's the way he's feeling, that nobody cares. And the people at all of his employees are thinking that that they never told us where we're going. How can we meet anybody? We can't meet anybody now, or we can't meet the boss because we don't know where we're going. So everybody ends up the next day they're all angry with each other because nobody knows, they never had a good dinner and they wasted this wonderful opportunity that they were going to have. So you have to be clear on what your expectations are. You got to tell them what restaurant you're going to. You got to tell them what time, and you got to tell them why you're doing it. So if you've got a plan in your head, no one else can understand what that plan is unless you explain it to them. And let other people contribute ideas, thoughts, and concerns. It's really important. I know that when I own my own businesses, I should say, I always involved everyone on my team in brainstorming sessions about what we were going to do, what we could do to make the company better. And that included the people that did deliveries, the people that did the maintenance of the offices, that kept the offices clean. It included the salespeople. It included the people that were on the telephones. It included everyone. And I'll tell you, some of the best ideas I got came from the maintenance people and from the delivery people. People that you wouldn't necessarily think would be coming up with the great ideas would come up with great ideas. So give tasks and the responsibility to other people. Let other people be a part of the whole process that you're going after. And it's a wonderful thing. It really works for everyone's ego and also works for you. That's the best. And if you're thinking on your own, just on your own of what you're doing, let other people in your family know what your plans are. Let other trusted people in your field where you're working know what you're thinking. You want to, of course, let them be trusted so they're not going to go tell the boss, so she's out of here in 5 years. So, do you know what I'm saying? Don't micromanage people. If you're looking to go in, move further ahead, let people have their, they say when you're training a horse, to let the horse have its head every now and then, which means let the horse do what it wants to do occasionally. Because if you do, the horse may surprise you and do something that you're trying to get it to do on a regular basis. Let other people do the small thinking. That's exactly what I was talking about before, of when I would sit down with everybody and say, what's going on? How can we make our company better? Let them think of those things. Let them be a part of the decisions and give them the responsibility, because once you've given them the responsibility, they take ownership in the results. And that's why doing the delegating really helps, okay? See things from a different lens. Dive into what the big picture questions are. Questioning helps you achieve the helps you connect the dots from your actions, tasks to your big goal. What am I trying to achieve? That's what you want to write into your journal. What am I trying to achieve? What is my goal? What is the goal all about? If you did this, you can think of any unintended consequences that might occur. If you do it, but if you're not doing it, you're not going to think of the things that could happen. Is there anybody else who might be affected by this? You want to think about that. Who's going to be affected by this? I don't know if you're married, if you have a family, but if you are, those people are going to be affected by it. And so they need to know what's going to happen, what you're thinking of, what you would like to have happen. Are there any ethical boundaries to consider? Meaning, if you're working someplace, are you thinking about going to a different field entirely? Or are you thinking about staying in the same field? And if you are thinking about staying in the same field, remember the ethical boundaries of don't, when you leave the company, don't end up taking, pardon me, clients away from the company. It will come back and bite you eventually. How could the idea become a lever for social change? Is there any way that what you're going to do make a social change? That's a really good thing to think about, because if it is, whatever you're going to do you have any idea what kind of a business you want to do? I understand you want to be in consulting, but how are you going to change the world with that? Or not the world, your world with that?
You mean me personally? Or?
Yes, you personally.
So how am I going to change personally as a result of this business?
No. How are you going to, what you're doing, what you're planning on doing, what is it going to change? Is it going to change anything in the world? Is it going to change anything in your world? Meaning, okay, when I retired from my business, I decided that what I wanted to do with the rest of my life is help people move forward in their lives and do things like give lectures and teach classes and so on and so forth. And my goal was to just, if I got one person out of a class that got something out of what I had to say, then I'd achieved a goal.
Well, So my goal is the work that I'm doing now, I feel like I can do more, and I want to improve the quality of life of other people and help them achieve their goals and help them find their pathway to whatever goal they seek. Excellent.
That's excellent. So when you are doing that, you are going to feel so good inside. You're going to feel it's a wonderful feeling. I can tell you from what I'm doing now. I'm doing kind of what you are thinking about, what you would like to end up doing, except I'm doing it in a different way. I'm teaching.
Yeah.
And it's a phenomenal thing. Absolutely. The joy that you get from other people is, you're volunteering, basically. I know you're not volunteering, you want to make money at it, but you're volunteering your expertise to other people.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Another good tip for big picture thinking is ask yourself, what is it that I'm not asking myself? What is it that I'm not asking myself? Okay, am I willing to do this for a year without really making any money? Am I willing to do that? And if I am willing to do that, what am I going to do about money in that year that I'm not making it? Maybe that's something that didn't come to your mind. Maybe it did, but maybe it didn't. So think of things that, I think it's fun to sit down and brainstorm with other people of different mindsets, to brainstorm and have them say, well, what are you going to do about this? Or what are you going to do about that? And you say, gosh, I never even thought of that.
Yeah. I need my mastermind group.
Exactly.
To bounce off ideas and get those questions that I hadn't thought about.
It really helps, doesn't it?
It does.
Better yet, sit with someone who challenges you and you trust, as we just talked about, and ask them what you aren't asking yourself. You can also bounce off ideas with them with your big picture goals are up against the ropes. So I still will say to people, what is it that I can be doing better? What could if you were to be taking my class, I at the end of this whole class, you're going to see that we have a survey monkey that tells you or asks you to tell us how we did. I take those very seriously, because if you were to for instance, say, I don't think that Mr. Daly explained this well enough to me, I would know better the next time to explain it better. So all that really does help. Getting criticism that isn't bad criticism, but it's helping you move forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Use bullet point lists to think big and then chunk it down. So make a bullet list of the big picture, then add your sub bullets to each step. It's kind of like doing an outline for a story or a paper. Do the whole thing like A, B, C, D, Roman numerals 1, 2, 3, 4, and regular numerals for what the bullet is. Now step back and look at what you can add or remove from the sub-bullet pointers to keep the needle moving forward. What little things can you do? And you're going to find that when you're writing this stuff down, I mean, dig deep, dig like for as silly as this may sound, it really helps to have yellow markers, blue markers, and green markers to mark things off. Did you think about doing that? Write it down. And when you do it, you get rid of it. But all those things, just what my point to you is, there are little things that you will be thinking about that may seem little, but they're going to be a big thing if you don't have them. Bullet points give you the visuals on your big picture. It's challenging to connect the dots when you can't see them. Just like if I don't tell you the restaurant, you're not going to know where to go meet me. So if you put all your dots together, put everything together, then you're going to know what your big picture is. It's also tough to translate your big picture if you don't have it in front of you.
Right, visually.
Visually, yes, it helps so much visually to look at it. That's exactly why I use these slides, because it's not that I know you're very capable of reading, and I'm reading some of these things off to you, but do you know why I do? Because when I read off something to you, it strikes something else up in my head that I need to tell you about. So bullet points are easy to access and revise anytime. This is, in turn, provides clarity. Stop and think about it. A big task is really just a bunch of smaller ones. Really is. Just a bunch of small tasks. Put them all together. Start journaling or mind mapping. When you put your internal thoughts on paper, you can easily separate the plan that is flowing and how it can be shaped to fit the bigger picture. So creating a big picture thinking journal or mind map doesn't need a ton of work. To begin with, note down your big picture, followed by the small details pestering you. And some of them are really, there are some things, for instance, with myself, I don't like to work with numbers, but I know that that's a big part of business. So I made sure that I hired a really good accountant or bookkeeper that could explain things to me in my way of learning, my way of understanding. I do everything. I'm telling you my personal story because I think it could help you possibly. I do everything vertically. I can't do things horizontally. Like I cannot read a spreadsheet. All the numbers are there and I understand all, and it should be easy. I don't consider myself a genius, but I'm not a dummy. So I can figure out the numbers, but I need to see all the numbers vertically, and then I work well with it. But the minute they go horizontal, forget it. It just confuses me completely. So what you need to do is have people around you, fill in around you that do these things for you and in the way in which you can understand it. Because we all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses, especially entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs really, we think differently. We think differently. We think more on the big picture scale than we do on the little minute details. Normally, I'm saying. Use a funnel representation or a well-constructed project map. Does that make sense? Do you understand that or no? Because I can explain it better.
No, explain it.
Okay. When you've got everything, here's your funnel, okay? You can see my hands.
Yes.
right up at the very top is your big picture written. And then all the other things go underneath it. And then you get down to the bottom where it funnels out, and you see there's a little bit of space down at the bottom. Then it goes into another big funnel.
Right.
So it's like shafting the wheat. You break it down a little bit at a time. So everything gets broken down a little at a time rather than all at once. So you don't have just one big funnel, you have several.
Okay.
That work to break it down. Don't try and, once again, don't try and be perfect. The first time out, it's not going to be perfect. You got to keep doing it over and over and over. So pretty soon, when you're shafting the wheat, you get rid of all of the part that isn't good, a little of it, and then it goes into a smaller sieve, and then a smaller sieve, and a smaller sieve. And it's like when you are you a baker?
Yes, I've said before. Yes.
Okay. You know how you have to sift flour?
Uh-huh.
And look at the pieces that get left after you sift the flour.
Right.
That you can throw away.
So you only get like the soft, the cream of the corn is what you're pretty much getting.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Okay. Exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, that makes sense.
It makes sense to do it. Just keep putting it in the funnel until you get it down to the cream of the corn.
Well, that's why the journaling works, because you come up with a clearer ideas as to what you want to accomplish.
Exactly. And if you're doing it every day, doing something, whether or not it's, I have nothing to say today. If that's all you write on the page, I have nothing to say today, that's okay. Because you're going to go back and you're going to read this in 6 months and you're going to see the difference on how things have changed. And you're going to see what it was when you just brought the corn in out of the field and started peeling it, shucking it, right? Don't wait for later in the day when you're drained. Schedule in the thinking time, but don't do it at the end of the day. Doesn't work. It doesn't work when you're going to do it just before you go to bed.
Especially when you have 2 little ones. I have 2 little ones right now.
Oh, do you?
2-year-old and 4-year-old.
Oh my goodness. Your hands are full.
Yeah, I'm so exhausted by the end of the day.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are, because you get all the questions of why all the time, don't you? Don't do it when you are pressed for time, which means which means that you're not really calculating everything. Don't do it while you're multitasking. Your thinking time is for you alone. That's why I had a house full of kids. I have 5 kids. And that's why I always took that hour in the morning before everybody got up. So I could, and I've been doing this hour in the morning for years, and it's such a treat for me. It's worth getting up an hour early.
It is. I like the early mornings, but sometimes my kiddos wake up
right
at that time, and I'm like, no, that's my focus
time. Leave me
Stop. Go to bed. It works most of the time, but sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Have to roll with the punches.
Exactly. That's what you got to do. Instead of a time to focus on this instead set a time to focus on this in order to accomplish it and put all your energy into it. Like I said, I do it in the morning, whenever it's best for you, but I don't suggest doing it at night, especially when you have little kids.
Yeah.
Big picture thinking activity is, what will you be doing in 5 years? That's at the top of your journal at the top of your list. Journal your 5-year goal in detail. We've talked a lot about this already, but you've got to think about it. Think about all of the things that you can do and how is this going to affect you and your family? Okay. What are the steps you need to take to achieve this perfect scenario? Do you need to learn a new subject? I don't know when you're going to have time to read, but you've got to try and fit some time in there about the entrepreneurs, like I told you.
Mm-hmm.
You take a break. That's not the question to ask a mom of a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. What skills do you need to learn to achieve success? So just like the book that you're showing me that you're reading and your journal and everything, it's working. Do you have to go back to school? Do you think you would need to go back to school for anything?
There is a certification that I looked at for coaching.
Uh-huh.
That I would like to do.
Could you do it online?
Probably yes.
Because you might be able to do that easier for you because of your children. It might be easier to be able to do it online. But then again, it could
either way, well, if it's, I don't believe the program is not, there's only certain times when you meet and then you do the work online.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's broken up that way.
Okay.
So there's maybe 4 times you meet and then there's work that you do online. So yeah, that could be doable. Except now it's the funds, right? Having the money to pay for the program. So
right.
You have to make time for saving some money to do that.
Exactly. You have to start taking action. Well, yes, we know, and you know it too, obviously. You know that you need to start taking action and putting things aside to be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
What is your plan of action for year 4, year 3, year 2, and now? That's what you've got to think about. In your journaling, think about what you want to do. You've got your big picture, but then start your idea of the corn was perfect, was bringing the corn down. What do you want to do every day to achieve your goal for, what do you want to achieve in 6 months towards your goal? What do you want to achieve in a year? And think about it that way. Break it down into the little tiny things. And
right now I have some short-term goals, which is taking a few classes. I'm signed up for branding, self-branding, and then marketing yourself.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Also LinkedIn for business. So there's a few classes and they're great because they're only a 1-day class all day and done, it's quick, short, and easy. So I can do those things right now instead of committing to, a 1-year program. Because I'm not there yet because my kids are so little. So that's more further out. But in the meantime, I can take classes like that and books. And before we end, if you can give me some recommendations towards the end of your presentation for entrepreneurships, that would be great.
Absolutely. Happy to. Okay. Intensely study the greats and their failures and successes and learn how they overcame obstacles leading to their successes. What do you admire, or who do you admire and why? Do you have anyone that you really admire? In the business world, I don't mean your mom or your dad or something like that. I mean, in the business world.
I've been learning about Robert Kiyosaki. And just, the changing the mindset of of how we have this poor mentality and how changing it to, instead of, oh, I can't afford it, looking at it, how can I afford it? And kind of getting out of that mentality.
Right. Didn't he do Rich Dad Poor?
Yes. And I have that book. I also have Cash Flow.
Oh, they're both two books that I would have told you to get.
Yeah.
They're wonderful books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah. And that's an easy read too, which is great.
Yes. Yes.
And then I have another one. There's Tony Robbins. He has a book. I think it's called Unbreakable. But I was looking through the chapters. I don't think I'm ready for that because he touches upon certain like concepts of business that I'm not familiar with.
Yes.
So it would be good to do like a class on like introduction to business at City College. That's something that I could, commit to doing that for or financial basics and kind of starting there,
Okay. This sounds like a paid commercial advertisement, and it's not meant to be that way. But since you asked for some books, I have written 2 books that might help you.
Oh, yes. What are
they? One is called The Key Class.
Okay.
And the other is
where can I find these? On Amazon?
You can find them on Amazon, or you can go on to my webpage. Okay. My webpage is thekeyclass.com.
Okay, great.
So the Key Class is the keys to job search success, but it tells a lot of other things as well.
Okay, I see it.
Okay. And then the other one is 74 life skills.
Oh, wow.
For a happy, successful life.
I like it already.
Well, I hope you'll like it. And they're books that are kind of about entrepreneurship, and they're kind of well-rounded books as far as business is concerned. I really don't mean to be doing a commercial, but they're what you asked for.
I did ask for that, though. I did.
Yes, you did. So,
thank you.
And let's see. The most important thing that you're doing, and you're doing it well, is you think big. That's the biggest thing. That's the best thing that you can possibly do is think big. And when you go on, by the way, when you go onto my website, there are some other classes. I don't know whether you'll be interested in them or not, because there are a lot of life skills and social skills and things like that, but they're all things that really work with business.
Okay, great. I'll look into it. Yeah.
Yeah, look into it and see what you think. So, now, have you got any other questions for me? I'm trying to think of some other books for you. I'm going to look at my book catalog.
Okay. Can you share a little bit about how you started your business?
I started my business, the event business or this business? The business of the Key Class.
Yes, let's go with that one.
They were both 2 different things. One, my business of the event, in the event world, I started out in a flower shop.
Okay.
And I was became a designer in a flower shop. I was a delivery boy first, and then I became a designer of flowers, and then I started working on just doing parties and weddings and charity events and things like that. And one thing led to another, and I just built up the business to where I ended up in the end of my career. I was doing things like the Olympics and World Cup soccer, and working for presidents of the United States, and working for the Pope.
It got really big.
Yeah, it got really, really big. Yes. but I worked like crazy. I worked a good 15, 18 hours a day.
How did you manage that family life and your career?
Family life really, it took a back seat, unfortunately. I happened to be married to an incredible woman that she was always a housewife, and she always stayed home and took care of ran the house. I mean, I could have never gotten anywhere where I got without her.
Yeah,
for sure. She's been the backbone of everything, of the whole house. And that's finally what I traveled. I think I told you this. I traveled 2 to 3 weeks a month. And so I was gone really a lot. And so I missed a lot of things.
Right.
But I'll tell you, it was a different time than now.
Right.
Now people really think about the quality of life as being equally as important as their job.
Right.
People didn't think that way before.
Yeah. And I think another thing to think about is, I mean, the difference in gender, right? Because you're a man, I'm a woman. And for me, like my husband has his own business. He has a tow truck company, a business. Busy, works all week long. He only gets Sundays off because he's just dedicated, to his business.
Yes.
And so I'm doing the house. I'm taking care of the children. I'm also trying to keep my career afloat.
Yes.
So I've done it where I work part-time so that I'm able the rest of the time to spend, to dedicate it to my children and to the house, right? To run the house.
Yes. Yes.
So that's why I asked, because it's, it's a little bit of a challenge. And so it's just trying to find, I guess, that sweet spot, and I think for me right now, that's why I want to have my own business so that I'm able to set my own schedule. But I understand that at the beginning, it's going to involve a lot of time.
It does. It involves a lot of time. And that's what it takes. But if you love what you're doing, and that's the key. I loved what I was doing.
Yeah. And
so therefore, because of the fact that I loved it so much, it wasn't like going to work.
Right.
And my family knew that I loved it too. And I didn't come home the grumpy dad saying, oh, it was another really bad day at the office. I came home and I couldn't wait for the next thing to happen.
Yeah.
I don't mean about traveling and getting away, because I really missed the kids. And finally, that's what did it, or missing my wife. The kids were grown and they're all married now themselves. But I finally got to the point that I just couldn't take the traveling anymore. I just wanted to be with my wife.
Yeah. You couldn't take her along with you? Oh, somebody had to be at home, right?
I did. No, I did take her. As the kids got older, I took her with me a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. And we had some wonderful times. We got to see the world on other people's money.
Oh, that's so great. That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty wonderful.
So I have another question. How were there times in your career path that you felt you lost that motivation, or you felt like you were in a funk? Like, how did you manage to get out of there? How did you push yourself? Were there moments when you felt that way?
Absolutely. There were times that what I needed to do and had to do was just take a break. And there were times that, as I've told you how close my family is and everything.
Right.
There were times that I just had to get away by myself, and just zone out and just be by myself. And I don't mean for a month at a time. I mean, a few days.
Yeah.
It would clear my head. And I would be able to then come back with more more push and more set my goals. And when I would be gone, when I would do things like that, I wouldn't be thinking about work, what I was missing at work or anything like that. I'd be thinking just about nothing. I'd keep things out of my head. And I was incognito. People didn't know where I was. I mean, my wife knew where I was, of course, but as far as business people didn't know. They just thought that I was away on another trip.
Yeah. That really helps.
Yeah. Another thing that's a really big deal is if you ever decide that you're going to take a trip for yourself or do something for yourself or any kind of a vacation, never let a client know it. Always let the client think that you're going to work someplace else.
Yeah.
We're not supposed to have vacations. We're not supposed to have a life. It's got to be work. So whenever I would go away on my own, I'd say, well, I've got a job in Arizona, and that's where I'd go is Arizona and spend 3 or 4 days in a hotel by myself in Arizona. And I wasn't lying because my job was to take care of me.
Right. You're right. So setting those boundaries early on, right?
It's so important. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
my husband's doing a little better about that.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. Well, you see here, go ahead and go onto the Survey Monkey if you would. That's listed on the screen here, because it really does help us to get better and to help you better. It helps everybody that watches these videos. It makes them better for everybody.
Can you put that on the chat, the Survey Monkey?
Let me see if I can. Let me go to the chat.
Let me see.
Yep. I think that should be it. Did you see it on the chat?
Yeah. It didn't pop up, but that's okay. I have it typed up over here.
Oh, okay, good.
So let me, hold on. I'm almost done. I have a few more letters.
Oh, okay.
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 Oh, no, it's not coming up for me.
Huh, that's weird.
Yeah. Do you want to, I'll put in my email in the chat box, and if you could send it to me when you get a chance, we can do that.
Yeah, that's very strange that it's, did you do HTTPS?
Yeah.
And put it up in a box, not in the search engine? I mean, you have to go on, obviously on a search engine, but I mean, don't like.
Oh, so put it under the search for Google?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Huh. No, It doesn't. It still gives me the.
Let's see.
It just says Survey Monkey. Want to create your own surveys.
Cannot locate the internet server or proxy server. That's weird. I will definitely have to bring that up.
Yeah, it's not.
Because you see, can you see my screen? Where it says cannot locate the internet server or proxy.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The link is not working.
I'm very sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No worries. Well, thank you. So I got to go because I have a meeting at 2, but thank you so much. I really needed this.
Well, thank you. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. And your presentation was amazing.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
You too.